Hi everyone. I thought I'd make a short little sort of catch-up vlog because I realised I had some footage from the spring this year that I haven't done anything with yet. I did my Scotland trip vlog as I usually do, but I've got some footage from before that I haven't turned into a vlog yet, so that's what I'm going to do in this episode. I've got some footage of a trip I went on back in March, I think, with my friend Rupa and her husband Jamie to a Hindu temple in Neasden in West London. It's an absolutely incredible building, just mind-blowing, and you can't film on the inside, but I took some footage of the outside and also the journey to get there. And while we were there we saw an arti, I think it's called, which is a ceremony that was lovely. And then after that we also went to Ealing Road, had a meal there. It's a big road where there's a lot of Indian shops and restaurants, and that was a really lovely day out. My friend Rupa was in recovery from breast cancer treatment at the time, so it was quite exciting to kind of be able to do that outing with her. I've also got some footage from the South London Comic and Zine Fair, which happened just very recently in Norwood, not far from where I live in South London. That was an absolutely lovely day. I don't have a lot of footage, but I'll show you what I did get. I think very much like my thought bubble experience in the autumn that I made a vlog about. I think everyone there was just really excited to be doing an in-person event and for something to be happening. The attendance was brilliant. It was really busy all day long, and just really wonderful atmosphere with everyone really enjoying themselves. So I think the organisers of that did a brilliant job. Another bit of news from this year, the French edition of my book Breakwater came out. I was so excited for this to happen. I mean, to have a piece of work translated is just incredible to me, and I love France, so I was really excited. It's a bit larger than the English version, hardback, and it has one extra feature that the English one doesn't have, which is an afterword that I wrote in the back of the book, just about the experience of making the book and the themes of it and why it was sort of interesting to me to write about those things. But it's a really lovely big edition. Obviously it's in French, but I've actually put the English version of the afterword on my Patreon, so that's something you can read if you sign up to that. I do have a new graphic novel in the works. It's completely written, and I've done a certain amount of the artwork. It's going slower than I would like, but then it always does. So I'm just trying to get it done as and when I can. I'm enjoying working in colour again, so that's really exciting, and I will get there eventually, and I'll be sure to update you on that. The other thing I'm going to cover in this episode is a tour of my garden now that it's summer. I found a clip on my phone from, I think, May, which was probably the first time I'd gone out to sort of cut the grass and do a proper tidy up of the garden after the winter and its initial kind of spring growth spurt. So I've got this clip that's not very long, but it shows you how kind of long the grass is and how small some of the other plants are compared to the footage that I took last weekend, which is kind of amazing to see the difference between May and July. There's a big red geranium out there, which if you compare sort of May to July, the difference in size is quite crazy. The dahlia and zinnia that I'm growing out there are kind of down here, now up to here in the course of a couple of months. And my passion vine has sort of taken over the whole fence. We are just on the tail end of a crazy heat wave in the UK, so it's been interesting trying to keep the garden alive, but it's kind of hanging in there. I'm actually going back to Scotland in a couple of weeks. It's very rare that I can't remember if I've been twice in the same year before, but if I have, it's not for a very long time, so it's really nice that I'm going to be able to go back. It's only a short trip, about 5 days, but I'm going to be filming, and hopefully that will turn into a vlog as well that I can share with you. And I've got one other big thing coming up this year, which is in September. It's a trip to the Small Press Expo in the United States in Maryland. So I'm going to be flying to Washington for that. It's an absolutely huge kind of small press and independent publishing festival that I've always wanted to go to, so it's really exciting that I'm going to be going this year. So yeah, I'll film that trip for you. I'll have a few days after the festival to just explore that part of the state, so that'll be quite interesting. I'm really looking forward to that. I haven't been anywhere far afield for quite a number of years now. So anyway, I hope you enjoy this little catch-up video. I'm currently in Wembley. It's a really lovely sunny day, and I've come to meet some friends who are taking me to a Hindu temple and then to get some food and do some shopping.
Change here for the Northern Line. This is a Victoria Line train to Walthamstow Central. The Northern Line via Bank. Please stand clear of the closing doors.
So I've come out to give you a garden update. I think the first thing we did this year was cut down as much of the old dead ivy above me that we could reach with a ladder. I think I talked about it in a previous episode, and getting rid of a lot of that has really helped the amount of light that gets to these flower beds behind me, so that's been really good. We've been having a bit of a crazy heat wave in the UK this summer, so it's been tricky keeping the plants happy. We've got a little sprinkler, and also I've been coming out most days over the last month or so with the watering can, just trying to keep things alive. So one thing that I've done is that I've taken up a few plants that have previously been struggling where they were in the ground, and I've put them into containers. And that's worked really well. That's allowed me to move them around a bit to see where they seem happiest. And also, as the sort of year goes on, I can move them depending on what the light conditions are like. I've been paying more attention to how the light in the garden changes over the year. What I consider the shady flower bed, this one behind me here, it gets really no direct sunlight at all through the whole of the spring and early summer, and it's only kind of now in the middle of summer that it gets direct sun, but the direct sun that it does get is the kind of full midday to afternoon sun, which is the strongest. So I had been planting plants here that were kind of shade loving, and I've had to move a few of those because they were really, really struggling in the heat. But the pots has been working well. Had a few plants that were really struggling year after year, and putting them in the pot has allowed me to kind of improve the soil and keep more of an eye on them. So I'll show you some of those in a minute. Another thing I tried to do recently was sow a little bit of clover into the lawn. We had a few kind of bare patches, and I thought that might help to kind of keep it all green. I probably picked the worst time to do it because it said to sow it when there was some sustained rain due, and we haven't had any rain for a month or so. So yeah, I thought with the sprinkler it might kind of still work, but I've got no signs of the clover coming up. I'll have to update you if it does come up at any point. So yeah, let me take you on a tour of the plants I've got going on at the moment. So I'll start here at my window box where I went for begonia again this year. And these guys had quite a difficult start. I ordered them online and they arrived in a box that had been completely shaken up and turned upside down, and they were a total mess. They were completely destroyed. But I planted them anyway just to see if they would survive. And it was touch and go. I had to kind of do quite a bit of work to try and keep them alive, but they're kind of starting to flower now, and I'm hoping they've got the rest of July and August to kind of get a bit bigger. So then if we come over here, this is a brand new addition which I got for free, which is amazing. It's a lovely, healthy, I think they're called rabbit foot fern, because they have these kind of furry little bits that come out that are supposed to look like rabbit feet. I don't know if they look like feet, but yeah, they're kind of furry. And someone had left that outside some flats up the road to be taken, so I grabbed it. I've got some hosta here that are starting to flower. These have really gorgeous kind of light purple flowers. I'll film again when they're a bit more open because they're really lovely. Over here, everything's kind of similar to how it was last year. All the ivy that was on this post here kind of died. I'm not entirely sure why. We must have kind of cut it at the bottom somehow. So I've cleared that off, which is actually quite nice not to have that there. This enormous red geranium just got so huge. It's filled the whole of this kind of huge black. It was actually a window box. I repurposed them and brought them out to be planters in the back garden, but they're absolutely huge, and it's completely filled it. It's the biggest geranium I've ever had, so that's been doing really well in the sun. Got some cosmos down here. My dahlia that my lovely friend Rupa gave me seeds for. I've got lots of dahlia here, different colours. Last year I planted out dahlia and zinnia, and when they kind of started to flower, I was thinking to myself, I'm not sure if I've actually got any of the zinnia. I think it's all dahlia. And what I've discovered this year is that zinnia don't like being moved. So you should really plant them out where they're going to end up. So that's a lesson I've learned. But I do have one zinnia. Sorry, I'm being attacked by a bee. I do have one zinnia plant that survived being kind of started inside and moved outside. And it's been absolutely stunning. So that's really cool. Next year I'll do some directly into the garden container here and see if they do a bit better. My passion vine, which I thought was huge last year, has been absolutely enormous this year. It's taken over this entire fence, which is quite nice. I've got loads of these kind of fruit, which are quite cool. I don't think they're edible. I did have a look. It's not really the right particular passion plant for it to be something you can eat. But this has been flowering for months and months. It's doing amazingly. And I've got lots of the jasmine here as well, which is great because it covers up a really ugly concrete fence post. Don't have many of those flowers left now, but there's one there. This plant here is one of the ones I was talking about where it really struggled where I initially had it in the soil. It would kind of come up. I've had it a few years and it would come up and really struggle and sort of die away, but it would keep coming back. So this year I've put it in a container. It's a stilbay, I think it's called, which does produce these amazing fluffy flowers. I've not seen any signs that it's going to flower, but it's also been quite scorched in the heat. So this is actually, after midday, this is a really shady corner, so I'm hoping it'll do better here. And that one day I'll get it to flower. Got lots of spiders at the moment. There's one there. There's a begonia that has been struggling a little bit. I think again it got scorched in the heat wave. So this is quite a shady corner for it. Hoping it will do better. I've got this absolutely stunning, I think it's called a painted fern. So it has these kind of silvery fronds. And again, this was one of the plants that struggled in the ground but has been doing well since I moved it into a pot. So I'm going to keep it in a pot probably. This flower bed is absolutely packed. It's got this amazing tall ornamental grass that has kind of got lost in all this foliage down here, but I don't really mind that. I quite like the garden to be kind of crazy and overgrown. But that's really tall. That's like as tall as me pretty much. It's really nice. There's my old fern that's still doing well. I had loads of this drooping sedge, but I've got rid of most of it because it got absolutely huge and out of control. So I may well be getting rid of this bit as well next year. I've got some creeping thyme. This is a new addition. I've dotted this around to give some sort of ground cover in the shady areas. And it's kind of started to put out these really cute little purple flowers. You can't, oh, there's an ant there as well. You can't really see them at the moment, but yeah, I'm hoping that'll spread and get bigger. And this is a new discovery that I'm absolutely obsessed with. It's called Jack Frost, this plant. It has these tiny little, kind of, they're like forget-me-not flowers, little blue flowers. And this is a shade-loving plant that can get quite large, and also I think it's quite easy to divide. So I'm looking forward to filling the garden with this. And it's also got these amazing kind of furry leaves, which means that slugs and snails hate it, which is amazing. So I'm hoping to divide this. Oh, little bee here on the cosmos. Yeah, I'm hoping to divide this and put it into a few different spots. Buddleia is flowering right now, which is gorgeous. The garden has been full of cabbage white butterflies. Oh, look up here. Yeah, this plant is so popular with all the creatures, so love that. Another little geranium there. This is an anemone, which has really struggled. There's one flower at the moment, but it's a little bit kind of deformed, but I'm hoping there'll be more. We've got all these little buds. I think, again, this got really scorched at one point, but it seems to be doing okay now. And down here I've got some, I think they're called gazania. They're a South African flower, and I've got these in my window boxes at the front of the house, and they've been doing amazingly there. I'm really pleased because I've struggled to get flowers that do well in those window boxes. They get full sun all day long, but because this is an African plant, it's quite drought tolerant and it doesn't need any good quality soil or anything. So, and there's an interesting thing down here. Here's my little bird bath that I have. I've been trying to keep that topped up for the insects and the birds during the heat wave. But down here, underneath this little table, I think I've identified this as a laburnum, which we used to have. I think this tree here, which is now dead, was a laburnum, if I remember correctly. No one else can really remember what that used to be. It's now covered in Virginia creeper, I think that is. But it's quite possible that if that was a laburnum, that there's a seed gone down there that's been dormant for a while. And it's now growing, so I may move it out from there at some point. Not sure quite where to put it, but if I could keep that and keep it quite small, that might be cool. So I'll have to think about that. The big hole in this fence that I had at one point is now completely covered, which is great, but it's covered by ivy, which is a bit of a menace, so I try and keep that under control. And I'm trying to help this creeper grow across the back here, so I've put a wire. I'm not even sure whose plant this is because it runs all the way along all the back gardens here. I think it might be my neighbour's plant, but I'm very happy to have it coming across here. Here are my gazania in the front window boxes, which are doing really well in the sun. I forget what this plant is called with the little purple flowers, but that's been doing really well too. I love the way it kind of hangs over the edges of the window boxes. Last year, I bought 3 new plants to go in these window boxes and they all really struggled. So I'm super happy with how these are looking this year.